On the telephone with me as we kind of focus on Brooklyn, live from the boardwalk here at Coney Island, Bruce Ratner is chairman and CEO of Forest City Ratner Companies. Of course, he is one of the owners of the New Jersey Nets, and he is the developer of the Barclays Center Sports Arena. Hey, Bruce, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Appreciate your time this morning. You are well ensconced in Brooklyn. It's been a long process to get the arena over the Atlantic Yards up and running. When have you started construction is my question.
We have. We've been in construction for about a month, and in 2 years we will have a brand new arena.
All right, there's more to this than just an arena.
Yes, there is. There's the arena, and there's housing, both affordable housing and market housing, market rate housing, and it's the architecturally beautiful project, and of course the arena brings the nets and circuses and all kinds of concerts and entertainment. Yeah,
and I wonder whether or not it will detract from New York. I don't mean detract, but maybe suck some of the dollars out of New York into Brooklyn. Have you done any speculation along those lines?
No, I think really what it is, it's additive. You know, when you add something, whether it be the rides that you're about to watch or are watching it at Coney Island or a new arena or anything really new like that, I think is just additive to the experience in New York, and it's always been that way. Whether it's a new team when the Mets came, some 30, 40 years ago, or whether it's the Nets coming. It's just an additive to the experience, particularly for Brooklyn. Brooklyn has not had a professional sports team for over 50 years, and now, again, we have a professional sports team in our great borough.
How long have you been involved with the Nets?
About almost 7 years.
7 years. Were you did you get into it because you're a basketball fan, or was this a business venture?
It was actually it was more of a civic venture, really. The idea first came to me from our great borough president, Marty Markowitz. He kept calling me, and everyone knows Marty. Marty doesn't give up. He said, "Bruce, we need a professional team here. We need a professional team," and that was really the impetus to it. Really bringing professional sports back to Brooklyn.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that because much is always made about the Dodgers leaving and what it meant not only to Brooklyn but to the Dodgers and then Los Angeles as well. But it really did leave a hole, didn't it?
It did. It was kind of whether it was the Dodgers or whether it was more the Times. I think it was more the Times. Really after that, Brooklyn had a very difficult time. It had a difficult time economically. A lot of people left Brooklyn. And now, of course, over the last 10 years, Brooklyn's really come back in a kind of way that I think brings it back to the old glory that everybody was accustomed to when the Dodgers were there.
I would assume that Marty Markowitz and yourself, Bruce Ratner, are looking at the Barclays Center Sports Arena to be sort of the cornerstone, if you will, and expect a lot more in the neighborhood.
I think that's right. I mean, Brooklyn's a place that now is growing in so many different ways. And the area where the arena is being built is an area in which there were open train yards, or are open train yards. And it's an area that kind of was somebody called an open scar, the area where the arena is going, actually. In fact, across the street, where we built a shopping center, the Atlantic Terminal Shopping Center, that piece of land was vacant from 1955 to 1995, 40 years. So now to bring an arena, the shopping across the street, which is already there, now housing, it's a very, very important development for Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, the whole borough, the tide raises all boats. I mean, the whole borough would be better off for it, I would think.
Well, you think about it. It would be the fourth largest city in the country. It doesn't have an arena, and now we have our own arena, our own place to go to, and it needs it. It could use it. It's certainly additive, and I think, of course, the sports team is particularly special for all of us.
How'd you ever get tangled up with Mikhail Prokhorov, who is now your partner?
Well, he's a great partner, first, as everybody, I think, saw last week. I think he surprised some people in seeing what a sense of humor he had, what kind of leader he's going to be. It was mentioned to me about 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, that he was interested in buying a sports team. And a year ago, when we decided we were going to bring in a partner, I decided I'd fly over to Russia and see him, and I did that. And in about 4 hours, we got along so well that we shook hands.
How about that? A little inside baseball there, or a little inside basketball this morning here on the John Gambling Show. Now, tell me, this process for the arena, you've started the construction. It'll be done in a couple of years. But it's gone on almost 10 years, hasn't it?
It's been about 7 years, actually.
7 years. But
you're almost right.
Did you ever get frustrated and say, you know what, I'm going to pull the plug on this thing?
I did get frustrated. The first half of the sentence is absolutely correct. I absolutely got frustrated. And there were times when I thought maybe it wouldn't happen. But I never, ever honestly thought about pulling the plug. I really didn't. I felt this was important. I felt we were doing the right thing. I thought the borough needed it. I thought the city needed this kind of development. And so I never thought about actually quitting. It was the one thing I never thought about. I did get upset a lot of times, and I said, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But I never really said to myself, quit. That's a word that was not in my vocabulary.
All right, you're a man that knows as much about the economy of the New York tri-state area. What's your assessment at the moment?
Well, I've been, as you kind of indicate, I certainly don't know as much as many others, but I have been developing in the city for a quarter of a century, in Brooklyn for a quarter of a century. And the one thing about New York is that it has a vibrancy and a population which, much like I said, never quits. And I think that really has made New York a city in which this recession has not hit as hard as other parts of the country. And being, in a lot of ways, the capital of the world, New York City, I think, has a future which is just really unparalleled compared to any city in the world. And so I'm very optimistic about New York. We still have unemployment that has to be dealt with. We still have poverty in the city which has to be dealt with. But I think overall the city has a very, very bright future.
Hey, Bruce, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, and good luck with the center. You bet. Bruce Ratner this morning on the John Gambling Show as we kind of focus on Brooklyn.
You've been listening to a podcast of an interview from the John Gambling Show from News Talk Radio 710 WOR. Find more great podcasts at WOR710.com.